I get very obsessed. And I think that is probably one of my strengths, that like once I'm in the stock, I'm like obsessively watching it like all day. Like back in, the pandemic era, like I would even be like, on a Zoom call, right? And I have like my chart open over here. If you were following me, I think the most important thing to learn, really, is learn how I do things, right? I endorse independent thinking. Like I'm here trying to share my research, my train of thoughts, like why I'm thinking this, right? What I noticed, how I'm connecting the dots, and obviously my trades themselves. And I'm really hoping that people kind of pick up that, like, if you have figured out, okay, I'm willing to all in this much amount of my money, right? All into one stock, follow it, okay, and now you're basically watching it play out in real time. I think that's much more better than kind of a simulation or kind of back testing or reading a book, right? Because when you're reading a book, I bought here, bought sold here. But when you're actually watching it play out in real time, you'll kind of feel it. That like, oh yeah, he sold this because, everyone on Twitter is scared of this news, or the Fed chairperson did these things, and like Kevin kind of connected all these dots and decided this was the top, it's time to sell. And I think that's much more you're gonna get that much more ingrained in you by kind of following me and watching how I trade in real time.
Do you ever set limits where it's like, hey, if it's down 20%, even if I'm sleeping or I just wasn't paying it, it's going to sell? Or if it goes up a certain amount, it's automatically going to sell?
I've also never set a stop limit. I'm very weird. I'm very afraid of actually, your situation, right? Where it's like randomly down 20% one day for reasons that I disagree with, right? Just some random macro or some fear headline, and then I get automatically stopped out. So I've never set a stop limit my whole life.
Now, you've previously said that every man should trade stocks like they date women, only one at a time. Why don't you like diversification?
Yeah, that's my specialty on Twitter. It's financial rage bait.
Why don't you like polygamy?
Well, I've been very loyal.
Why shouldn't men date 10 women at a time?
Yeah. So
like Jack.
Props.
That's just not even true.
Concentration creates wealth. Diversification keeps it, right? That's just true. And I think, we go all in on things all the time in our lives, right? When you're a job, that's an all in on your time, right? A woman, that's an all in, right? I'm saying like, and it's true. Like, when I met my wife, it was like only like 6 weeks in, we decided to move in together, right? Because I was like, this is it. Like, I think I love her and I want to move in. I want to get to know her, right? I just went all in. And I think, I don't know, a lot of people try to hedge, right? And like, try to, especially in the dating world, like, oh yeah, let me try to meet and find the best person. No, I think you should go all in. And I think that's really important. And you also really quickly find out whether it's working or not. Either with a relationship or even with a stock. You really quickly get obsessed with it. You research everything about it and you figure out like, oh yeah, if you're only in like 5% or only 5K, you're like, whatever, I don't really care about this.
But this seems like this is your personality type, is you're an all-in type of person. Yeah. You're either 100% in or you're out.
Yeah, I would say that's my personality type.
Do you think most people should follow that personality type, or do you think some people would be better off not doing that? Or maybe they're a bit indecisive and when they go all in on something, they don't really think it through.
I think it depends on your goals, right? And your time frame. Just your view on life. I have always been a very impatient person, right? I've always wanted gain, success, whatever, as big and as fast as possible. And obviously, I've been willing to risk it, and I've made many losses, right? I lost 300K in crypto, right? I did my startup back in 2013, and I failed. And so I failed a lot. But I also kind of, over the course of my life, taking like a very TikTok kind of pattern in my life of risk on, risk off. Right? You do something risky, didn't work out, okay, quiet down for a couple of years. And once you kind of regain that financial buffer, that mental sanity, maybe try out some risk again, right? So I think there's like phases in your life too, where it's appropriate to kind of take on risk.
Does it worry you right now that stock market valuations are seemingly pretty high?
Not really, because of how insane this AI build out is going to be. Like, this is essentially our version of the Industrial Revolution. And I think, especially the modern investor, maybe a little bit too used to these kind of very quick bubbles, right? Like crypto is maybe a year or two, right? Meme stocks is maybe a year or two, but like people don't understand like how big and still there's so much more to come with building out these AI data centers. You have to just like try building an app with Codex once and you'll realize it. My view is the future of AI work is long running, compute intensive workloads. basically, most people just ask ChatGPT a question, right, and it spits you, quick answer. But what people are doing in Silicon Valley right now is they're running these like 24/7 jobs, right, to basically keep churning tokens to do work. The one example is like solve cancer. Right, like you can imagine just giving an agent access to your lab and all this data and other agents that it could spawn and whatever, and it just keeps running in a loop, right, trying to figure out how to solve cancer. And so that is very compute intensive, and we don't have enough GPUs or CPUs or memory or any of that. The stat is what, like trillions of dollars in capex build out over the next 5 years, right? And so we just don't have enough, and I think it's going to continue going into the future.
How could you be wrong?
Either there is some technological innovation that increases the supply, right? That maybe China develops like their own NVIDIA style GPU really, really fast that increases supply all of a sudden, or these workloads don't really transpire. So right now, especially in Silicon Valley, coding is what most people use these LLMs for, right? Because it works. So you can build these websites and apps now. But can LLMs really replace, accountant, right? A lawyer, a doctor, right? Can it really build robots? Like that's another like 100x, 1000x thematic bet that I have. Like robotics is actually the next inflection point for something called physical AI. That requires like all the kind of same things, right? Like if that stuff doesn't transpire, there's no need for it. It just kind of stays in coding. Then a lot of this kind of both thesis falls out.
What are your robot plays? Because I tend to agree with you that it seems like the next thing would be taking ChatGPT but making it physical.
Yeah.
Turning it into a person or a robot that could do something. Now, really quick, every business is asking themselves the same question. How do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are limitless, but guessing is too risky, and sitting on the sidelines is not an option because one thing is certain. If you're not doing it, your competitors are already making their move.
And that's where our sponsor NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses to manage everything from financials and inventory to commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one unified system.
When all of your data is in one place, your AI becomes a lot smarter. It doesn't just guess. It knows. NetSuite intelligently automates routine tasks, delivers real-time insights, and helps you make fast, confident decisions that actually help drive growth.
And it's not just an add-on, it's AI that's literally built right into the system that runs your business, helping you cut costs, improve accuracy, and stay ahead of the competition.
Whether your company is making millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite gives you visibility and control to keep moving forward. Honestly, if I were building a business of this size, NetSuite's the only company that I have 100% confidence in.
So if your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, get our completely free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/clips.
Again, the guide is free for you at netsuite.com/clips, netsuite.com/clips, with the link down below in the description. What are your robot plays? Because I tend to agree with you that it seems like the next thing would be taking ChatGPT but making it physical. Turning it into a person or a robot that could do something. So how do you see that playing out, and where are you investing in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to change the world just as much as like ChatGPT did. There is just so much investment. Recently, A16Z produced a report that says like venture investment in robotics is at all-time high, like 5x in the last quarter. I think humanoid robotics specifically is really, really interesting because a lot of the world is already designed for humans, right? Like how you open a door, how you put in a screw, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you can have a robotic, they don't ask for insurance, they don't ask for sick leaves, vacation leaves, they can work all day. They don't even have to be perfect because humans are not perfect. Right?
They could show up late.
Exactly.
Slip and fall.
And so there's so much investment in robotics right now. And actually what's really frustrating is that there's no way as a retail investor to really play this. That's been really frustrating. It's just like every other kind of way before, right? It's always been happening in the private sector, right? Like, it's from startups to AI stocks right now. There are 2 or 3 stocks that are interesting in the robotics world if you're interested in playing it. One is called 𝗖𝗓, OUST. They make LiDAR tech, right? So like the lasers, to kind of tell you how far away things are. Most recently, they invented colored LiDAR. So they're the only ones to make it. And so that replaces 2 cameras. Before you used to have like a camera for color and one for LiDAR, and now you just have one, right? And so they're signing up a lot of customers. They're a public stock. Another one is a SPAC. that's coming out pretty soon called CCXI, Agility Robotics. And it's gotten a lot of hype recently because of some Twitter influencers talking about it, but it is one of the only pure robotics companies to actually, list on the stock. And then actually one that I've played a few times is called RoboStrategy, and they have the best ticker, BOT. Bot. And the quick story behind that is this guy, Andrew Kang, he basically was an early investor in all these robotics names through his family office and decided to turn that into a closed-end fund to basically let anybody, invest it in. There's a lot of mechanics behind it, very similar to MicroStrategy for Bitcoin and like a creative dilution. But basically, it holds like equity stakes in Figure AI. Do you remember that live stream with the robot, for 9 days straight, right? Like sorting packages, right? That was like a media moment, right? And so like that's one of the biggest holdings in BOT. So like, you basically get access to that.
So what do you think is going to happen over the next 5 years in terms of the economy?
K-shaped, man. Everything is unfortunately K-shaped. And I think that's why there's this desire, this angst that I notice in the general population, especially young people, to bridge that gap, right? From one end of the K to the other, and a lot of agency behind it. So, but I mean, I don't know. My fringe theory is that like this last like 50 or 80 years of the middle class was the exception to the norm. Like across like general history, right? Most of history, it was like, you got the rich people and you got the poor people. And because of the internet and globalization, whatever, and America was able to kind of create this middle class. But it does seem like it's kind of going back in the other direction, right? People talk about the wealth income gap and et cetera. And so the most important thing is to own assets.
So how can someone increase their chances maximally that are on the lower part of the K-shaped recovery to then go to the higher part? Is it focusing just broad strokes here on income or on investment and buying the right assets?
The most important thing is you first have to build your base, right? You have to take care of your debts and you have to build your base. And what I mean by base is, your financial base, your security base, you can't be worried about, when you take risks, you can't be worried about your livelihood, right? And so what that means is, get a good job, right? Make sure it's like safe and secure. Just make sure you're in a good place to actually go take on risk. And then you could take on risk in many ways, right? Like if you find where you're good at, and just go do it. I think a lot of people just get caught up like trying to think too much and trying to take like baby steps. When I say go all in, it means many things. It could just be go all in and start making YouTube videos, right? Just go do it. If you want to trade stocks or even do sports betting, right? Like go all in and try and figure out, do you have an edge? Don't go in blindly without a feedback loop. Otherwise, you do end up losing money or like not growing your YouTube channel. Set a timeline, and set a timeline like by 1 year, I hope to achieve these things, and really have a close feedback loop of like, am I developing an edge here? Because I think the world is more and more rewarding people that are unique and have something different to offer in the world.